Hello, hi, welcome to a vlog. I am destroyed. I'm feeling destroyed. I just finished a book that I really want to talk about, but I just wanted to welcome you first to a writing vlog. I'm gonna spend a couple days with you guys. There's going to be writing, but there's also going to be a couple other fun activities that I'm gonna vlog. So let's get into it, get cozy. And now let me talk about my heartbreak, because I just finished The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Katherine Arden. I randomly stumbled upon this book in the bookstore like a few days ago, 4 days ago, the weekend. I think it was the weekend. I immediately knew I had to pick it up because not only do I love Katherine Arden, if you don't know, she wrote the Winter Night trilogy, I believe is what it's called. The first book in that series is called The Bear and the Nightingale, and that series explores Russian history and folklore, and it's phenomenal. Her writing is exquisite. Not only do I love her writing, but this book is actually about World War I. There's fantastical elements. There's magical realism, I guess would be what I would call it. This follows a combat nurse who has been injured and goes back to Canada during World War I and gets word that her brother is missing. And it actually follows two point of views. Her point of view trying to find her brother. She goes back to France and tries to find out what happened to him. And then it follows her brother's perspective, who wakes up in a crumbled pillbox with a German soldier, and they become intertwined as they attempt to survive. And then there's kind of a third character that they both encounter throughout the story that is like a mysterious man who has this ability to make them forget their past. That's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil anything more from this, except to say that this book was exquisite. In terms of the research, phenomenal. I knew immediately as soon as I read the blurb and read the title, because Katherine Arden took the title from a Canadian soldier's. Hold on. I could tell before I even opened the pages that Arden did her research, because The Warm Hands of Ghosts is actually a reference to this book, Ghosts Have Warm Hands. And this book is written by Will R. Bird. He was a Canadian soldier in World War I. He fought at Vimy and Passchendaele. And honestly, if you like this book, I would highly recommend this book. It's also phenomenal. I have a little bit of gripes with this book, but I'm not gonna get into it too much. Basically, I feel like writing impeccable, research impeccable, imagery exquisite. I loved so much about this book. So I don't wanna get into the things that I didn't necessarily love. It's not quite a 5 out of 5 star for me, but it is phenomenal and I highly recommend it. I don't know if World War I is having a moment right now in fiction, but I feel like it deserves it. It's long overdue, and this book does it justice, immensely so. It was so good, and it broke me a little bit. I'm so out of breath and I have no idea why. That book was phenomenal. Just, that's all I wanted to say. I am a bit of a World War I history buff, and I've done a lot of research into it. So there were elements in this book that when she was calling attention to these historical moments, I was like, yes. Like, thank you. Really, really refreshing how much research she very clearly did, and how much she took this task seriously of writing about World War I. So I highly recommend it. It was so good. Okay, I'm gonna stop raving about that book now because I'm gonna go write. It is currently Thursday. It's a random day to start a vlog, I know, but I'm meeting a couple friends at the library to write, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. If you don't know, I'm currently writing 2 projects. One is a dragon fantasy book that I haven't actually written in a couple weeks. That has been kind of put off to the side while I work on my other project, which is a second book in a fantasy series that I'm currently working on. I finished the first book a couple years ago now, actually. I'm currently working on the second book in that series. I'm well into it. I'm having such a great time. I can't wait to get back into it today. And I say back into it because I've actually taken like 4 days off, more than 4 days. I think I've taken like 6 days off of writing. It doesn't matter because today is all about writing, and I'm so excited for it. I am going to work on the second book in my fantasy series. That book is also loosely based on World War I. Not quite the same. It's not historical fiction, it's fantasy. It's set in a fantastical world. There are elements of both wars in it. It's kind of a loose retelling of The Legend of Anastasia. German elements, there are Russian elements. It's all over the place, but I love it so, so much. It's a love story. It's a war story. It's got elemental magic. It's my entire heart. I feel like I say that every single time, but the time to market that book is going to come in a few years. It's not anytime soon. And that's it. That's all. Let's get into it. Get cozy. I'm gonna go get some writing done. Why don't you come with me?
Remember when you sang me the song Chengdu? It was during our first trip in an Airbnb in the dim glow of the Had you heard it at some random bar? The lyrics struck me as bittersweet, leaving someone behind in pursuit of freedom. I'd thought you didn't want me to leave.
This is the background music to it.
But it's you who left. You've chosen freedom. Will that song remind you of me? Or had you sung it to all the girls that you've walked away from? You've had lots of practice, while I had none. Master of walking away. Could anyone get you to stay? You go breaking hearts left and right, leave a trail of dismay. You never look back, but do their shadows haunt you? Master of walking away.
I'm home now. It went well. It went well enough. Taking such a long break from writing, I knew it was going to be a little uncomfortable getting back into it, but I still somehow managed to get like 600 words out, and that's really all that matters. I feel fine. I feel good. It's fine. Honestly, all I can ask for is like ending a session being like, okay, cool. I mean, obviously I wanted to be like much more enthusiastic, but this one it was like, you know what, I did the thing that I needed to do, and sometimes that's just what needs to happen. So feeling good about it. I know exactly where the scene is going, so I know how to continue it, but it was a little bit of a struggle, I'm not gonna lie, but it was so good. I was writing with two of my friends and they were meeting for the first time, so it was just great. It was like a really good time, despite the fact that it's a lower word count than I probably normally would have done. But I'm back to it, baby. It's still pretty early in the day before I have to go anywhere, and so I think I'm gonna do something a little controversial, and that is I'm going to reorganize my TBR shelf. I'm going to organize it by color. Hear me out. It is currently organized by genre, kind of, not really anymore because I've acquired so many books. It's ridiculous. And I find that my nonfiction and my fantasy is all the way at the bottom and they're being lost a little bit. So I kind of want to do it by color. I kind of want these shelves to be colorful, which means that the genres will not be clearly defined. I feel like I'm not seeing books that I really want to read because they're tucked away. That's my lunch. I'm going to eat lunch. And I'm gonna do this. So, in case it wasn't abundantly clear before, because I had really low blood sugar and I don't know if I was making any sense, the reason why I'm doing this, I'm breaking up the genre organization method and going by color, is one, I think it's gonna look really cool. I'm really excited to have a lot of colors. Two, I find all of my fantasy and YA and nonfiction books are being lost among the masses because they're at the bottom here. And number two, number three. I actually think I'm on number three. Number three, I feel like it will make me peruse my shelves. Having the genres mixed up will force me to actually look through my shelves, and maybe I'll find a book that I actually, forgot about that I have, or something like that. I don't know. I think it's just a way of like forcing myself to look at my shelves. First, I'm gonna take everything off. I'm gonna wipe down the shelves and I'm gonna sort by color, and we'll go from there.
and a butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead.
Okay, I really like it. I think it looks really good. I'm amazed at how many blue books there are in the world. I feel like I should have known this with my publishing background, but Blue Spine's really popular. And I tried my best. I mean, I didn't want like perfectly rainbow shelves. I just think I wanted a lot of more color. However, I do have an issue, which is that I do pull out my books pretty much at the beginning of every month. I pull out like a TBR for the month, and I'm not entirely sure what to do with it. So I have this stack, which is all fiction books that I really want to get to this month. And obviously they're completely different colors. And then I also have this giant stack of nonfiction, and I don't really know where I'm gonna put them because I had this cubby completely empty and that's where I kept them. But now it is quite full, and that's my own fault because I have so many books. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to put them in front of the white shelves. I think that's a good call. Some of the nonfiction I think I'm actually gonna put on my desk because I am probably going to need them for writing more than anything else. I'm having such an allergy attack because of all the dust. I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm just gonna push this shelf back, and then yeah, I'll just stack my TBR. I feel like that was kind of anticlimactic. If you want to know what's on my TBR, Ghosts Have Warm Hands, because I just finished the book that I was talking about this morning and I love it and I really want to reread this one, so gonna do that for sure. I've also really wanted to reread Regeneration by Pat Barker. This is a phenomenal World War I historical fiction book. It follows a poet who refuses to continue his service during World War I, so he is then put into a mental hospital. So it's really good. It like explores shell shock and PTSD, which I feel like I've talked about in the past few videos, but obviously it is something that really interests me. The Celestial Wife. This is an ARC, an advanced reading copy that I got at this conference called OLA, the Ontario Library Association Super Conference. This is a book that follows an ex-Mormon, kind of like leaving a cult fiction. I got Scythe because I really want to read this book. This is a YA fantasy, I believe. I guess it would be fantasy, I'm not sure, but it's a YA story in which the world cures death. And then there are people who are trained to cull the population. And so this follows two people, which I believe that go into that training. So it sounds phenomenal. Then I have Adrienne Young's Fable. I actually have no idea what this book is about, but I'm pretty sure it's like YA fantasy romance. Cover's gorgeous. I've read Adrienne Young before. And then I have The League of Gentlewoman Witches. I kind of threw two floofy romances on because I knew I was going to be doing a lot of war research and a lot of like World War I reading. So I have The League of Gentlewoman Witches. This is an enemies to lovers romance, but I don't think it like is like a true enemies to lovers, but it follows a romance between a pirate and a witch. I have Birding with Benefits, which is actually what I'm going to read next, and I'm really excited about it. Great. So that's it. That's all. We've got rainbow shelves. I really like it. It's really good time.
I walked in your love like a hotel lobby. Took all of my pictures before the city forgot me. Love comes so easy and you've got so many friends. They throw parties in the ballroom of the hotel that you live in. If I could stay, things would never be the same. If I could stay, but you live in a hotel on a mountain. Thanks for gracing us with your time.
What a fab day. What a fun time. I just got back from the event at the Toronto Public Library. Event is a strong word. It was a talk. It was basically a lecture, but it was really cool. So it was all about cemeteries, but also it actually focused mainly on the people that are buried in cemeteries, specifically 2 cemeteries, which I've never been to. I really, really enjoy cemeteries. If you stick around till the summertime, you will see how often I go to my local cemetery to kind of just hang out. The speaker focused on 2 cemeteries in Toronto, but then focused on people that are buried there. And so it was basically just like a story time. Like we just learned a bunch about a number of like famous people that resided in Toronto and are buried in Toronto and their life stories, and it was a lot of fun. I'm really glad that I went, and it was equally fun to like walk among the stacks. I did control myself a little bit because I knew that I have a massive TBR, so I tried not to bring too much home, and I'm glad because I actually didn't. I just ended up getting 1 book, and it's a book that I'm actually currently reading. I'm currently listening to it, but I just find that I haven't really had the time to listen to audiobooks other than going to the gym. Like I don't really listen to them when I'm doing my commute. I tend to just listen to music or I read. Like I don't know. I find just like I'm not really in an audio mood right now, which I have so many audiobooks out, so it is killing me because I'm like there's so many that I want to listen to, but I'm just not in the mood and I don't really have the time. So anyway, this is a very long-winded way of saying that I picked up A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. I have been watching a lot of Katie is Reading. She's read a lot of the Veronica Speedwell mystery series. The way that she described them made me really want to try reading, and I'm really, really glad that I did because it is so fun. It is such a fun time. These are mysteries. They're not quite cozy mysteries. I mean, I haven't gotten that far into this, but the book follows Veronica Speedwell, who is a butterfly naturalist, and she basically gets caught up in a mysterious murder plot, and that's about as far as I've gotten. I'm really, really enjoying the voice of Veronica Speedwell. I really like her character. It is Edwardian, I believe. I believe it's set 1887 in London, and so there's also history there. It almost reads like a natural history of dragons, but a mystery. So it's like a naturalist, I guess, is going to use her skills to solve a crime. I don't know. I didn't really get that far into it because I just haven't had the time to read audio. So I'm really excited to dive into it. Tom ordered from Wendy's and he saved me some fries. So I'm going to have some fries and then I'm going to curl up and read Birding with Benefits. I realized I didn't even tell you why I truly want to read this book, and that is because the back copy is so funny. Newly divorced, almost empty nester Celeste is finally seeking adventure and putting herself first. Cliches be damned. So when a friend asks Celeste to partner with his buddy John for an event, Celeste throws herself into the role as his temporary girlfriend. But quiet cinnamon roll John isn't looking for love, just birds. I'm dying. I really like it. I really, really like that. I want to meet Cinnamon Roll John, who is not looking for love and just birds. I really can't wait to meet John. Hey, hi. Checking in to say that I'm currently writing. I'm still getting the urge to do a little bit of a reread, and I think it's time, and I think that's great. I'm actually really looking forward to it because I do have some ideas on how I kind of want to change up the feeling of the beginning a little bit. Basically, one of my characters is just not angry enough. I wanted to talk to this a little bit because I know that this is like something that a lot of people struggle with, is like going back and editing and spending so much time editing and not enough time writing new words. The way that I fight that kind of perfectionism is to just make sure that I have more to go back to when I'm done my reread. So I actually have quite a number of scene ideas that are going to follow the scene that I want to finish today. And so I'm just going to write them out. I'm just going to like write them out either probably on both Scrivener as well as my little brainstorming wall that I have in my bedroom. Yeah, just make sure that I have something to go back to and that I'm not just going to finish my reread and then stare at a blank page. So the plan for today is to finish this scene, do some brainstorming for the next few scenes, organize all of the ideas because I've just been emailing myself so many scene ideas and I really need to put them somewhere else. And then I think that's it. I think I'll call it quits after that because I do have a meeting at 1. It's currently 9. I was gonna do some schoolwork, but I'm just really feeling like spending the early morning writing and going for as long as possible. I think that feels quite good. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So once I'm done that, then I will be geared up to potentially do a reread next week, which I think will feel really good. I think that's it. I think that's all I have to update you on. Let's continue writing. Okay, so I just wrote 1,500 words. Felt amazing. Felt so much better than yesterday. It was hard because it's a very intense scene, but I have the skeleton down and that feels fantastic. I'm really excited to go back and like amp up the emotion even more, but for now, the skeleton of the scene is down. It hurts so good. So now I am going to do some outlining, which basically means I'm going to write all of the scenes that I've written and then all of the scenes that I have ideas for and put them on little cue cards. I'm going to cut these into squares and then I'm going to paste them on my wall. I've done this a number of times on this channel. It's how I work. I'm a very physical, what's the word? Analog? I guess I'm a very analog brainstormer. I can't really have things on my computer. I don't know why. I just like to have things in front of me, vision boards, bullet journals. I don't know what it is. So having my outline up on my wall is great. It's what I use to reference all the time when I'm thinking about the overall arc of my stories. I feel like there's just something about being able to visualize it that just works really well for me. And also there is something about just like moving around scenes physically that helps me just with the entire plot of the story. The reason why I want to do a reread is number one, I want to refresh the scenes a little bit, really change up a couple things when it comes to the way my characters are acting. And the other reason why I want to do a reread is I think that rereading your work is actually a really good way to remind yourself that it's actually not as bad as you think it is. When you're in the moment, at least for me, when I'm in the moment and I'm writing, it's horrible. I hate it. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I hate it like, I don't know what the percentage would be. Let's say 50% of the time. I don't know if that's an accurate percentage, but let's say 50% of the time I really struggle and think that my sentences suck, the scenes aren't working, blah, 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 blah. Rereading it actually shows me that it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all, and it helps me to feel encouraged, frankly. So I don't know, I'm a big believer in allowing yourself to reread. I think that I fought that so much when I was working on my Haunted project last year, and it just really ruined it for me. because I was just so focused on trying to get that draft done. This one, I just want to have fun. And so I'm letting myself, and so I'm going to reread it. But for now, I'm going to set myself up for future success by outlining some of the scenes so that when I am done my reread, I know where I'm heading next. I could go on, but I'm not going to. So let's get to outlining a little bit.